Hi, friends. How are you doing? I hope you're doing amazing. I love springtime and I'm so excited to get the warmer weather here consistently. So I don't know if you feel the same way or if you have seasons where you are, but I'm excited about that time of year. So last week we talked about the ancient Greek myth of Odysseus and the Island of the Sirens. And if you didn't hear that episode or you don't know what that is, you can look that up. I think the poem, short story, whatever it's considered, is called the Odyssey. But you can go back and listen to last week's episode where I talked about just that piece of the story that has to do with the side screen, because we've had several episodes now about the side screen. And remember, the front screen is our present, the things that we like, the stuff that we want to be doing. And the side screen is over here, kind of in the corner of our eye, and it either shows us the things that are going to go wrong and tells us all the things that scare us and worry us and where all that anxiety comes from. Or it also shows us some bad habits, destructive things that we could be doing, and unfortunately, addictions that tell us, oh, this is if you do these things, you're going to feel better. And then we get sucked into that doing, things that are destructive to us. So last week we were talking about that destructive side. And so we're continuing with that a little bit. So remember, and if you didn't listen to last week, the Island of the Sirens in the Odyssey with Odysseus, it would lure people, their ships. It was by the sea, and sailors were going by to go home or go to battle or whatever. And this island had these sirens, these seductive women that were calling them over, and they were just so alluring that people would just go over there and they would get devoured by these sirens and their ship would crash and they wouldn't go home and all that. And so last week we talked about, you don't want to get sucked into that because then that's where bad habits, destructive habits, and even addictions come from. And so today we're going to be talking about how do we distract from that in a healthy way? Because remember, if we're ignoring or avoiding the side screen, that actually gives it energy because it's almost like we're fighting against it. Like we're just holding that door closed so tight. And at some point, we're going to get tired and we're going to let go and then it's going to come in. Or we have to go to the bathroom or whatever. We can't hold that door forever. So we're going to talk about how do we have healthy distractions that bring our attention back to the front? And we're still doing that when we see it. We're allowing it to be in our body. We're allowing it to be uncomfortable as it tells us, you got to eat those snacks. You got to smoke the cigarette. You got to take the drink, whatever. And that feels very uncomfortable. And so instead of just like trying to have willpower to stop ourselves from it, we're going to just allow that feeling to set in our body. We're going to be calm about it. We're going to accept that it's there. Of course, my body wants to feel better. Of course, it's giving me all these options. And I'm going to gently redirect to something else. So remember in the story with Odysseus, his crew, they had beeswax in their ears, so they couldn't hear the sirens. So they weren't bothered by the pulling of wanting to go over there to where they were. And so they were just busy working on the ship and steering it in the right direction. And Odysseus could hear it, but he was tied up. And so they were also busy working with keeping him tied up and out of danger. So he he had this plan ahead of time about how to distract them in a healthy way. So that's how the story still continues with what we're talking about today is healthy distractions. And healthy distractions are going to give you new growth opportunities in your life. So you can even start looking forward to these cravings and urges to do these bad habits because it will remind you, oh, this is my reminder to do a positive, exciting activity that I have planned ahead of time. Again, that planning ahead of time is so important because that's when all the good parts of your brain are online and your brain wants the best for you and it wants you to succeed and have these opportunities. And when those cravings come up, the other part of your brain that's like, oh, don't worry about that. Who cares? Just eat this stuff. Just drink this drink. Just stay in bed today or whatever it is telling you that's actually going to be destructive. And so these things that we're going to come up with today will be planned ahead of time. And then you will have a list of things that you can do. So, the other good thing about this is that when you master the skill of feeling uncomfortable and and allowing yourself to feel uncomfortable, accepting that you feel uncomfortable and moving forward to a healthy activity, that's going to solve so many problems in this world. It's not just about anxiety and it's not just about cravings and habits. It's, you're someday you're going to have, well, you do right now, you have homework sometimes that you don't want to do, and you have chores that you don't want to do. You're going to have stuff that's like homework and like chores when you, or there are chores when you're an adult and you're not going to want to do them. And you have to be able to feel uncomfortable and still move forward anyway. There are four types of healthy distractions. They are physical, pleasurable, enlivening, and general. So, of course, physical activities are things that get your blood pumping, get your body moving. Because when you spend a lot of energy either being worried about things or like dealing with cravings and the urges to do bad habits, it builds up an energy inside of your body. And so it helps to be able to dispel some of that energy by doing something that's active. Now, exercise is always listed on these lists of things to do, but exercise can have a bad feeling for some people. I know exercise sounds annoying and boring to me, and it doesn't mean that it is. And there's ways to do it without maybe calling it exercise. So just think about the things you like to do that feel good when you're moving around. So I love dancing. I never even think about dancing as exercise because I like it so much. And really, I shouldn't think about exercise as a bad thing because it's actually a good thing. But because the word exercise sometimes just seems annoying to me, I wouldn't put exercise on my list. But if you like it, totally put that on your list because any kind of movement, whatever you call it, is going to release those feel good hormones in your brain. And then it's just going to make you feel better. And your body is then also going to feel better. And it's healthier and it's going to just elevate your mood and make you feel like doing something else and is a healthy distraction from the urges and destructive habits that your brain's telling you to do. I had a friend once that every time she wanted to smoke, because she was trying to quit. Every time she wanted to smoke, she just went for a walk around the block. And she just kept doing that until when that urge slowly started going away, then she just didn't she had a walking habit, but she didn't have to worry about the urge to smoke anymore. But think about things like stretching, yoga, dancing, as I mentioned, gardening, swimming, anything that gets your blood pumping. And I used to have a playlist that was like about 30 minutes long. And it was just all these fun, energizing songs. And I would just dance around the house. Like I didn't even have any particular dance. It was just like jumping around and just really enjoying the music. And you can do that anywhere at your house, outside, with friends, whatever. And it's just a good way to enjoy movement. And I want you to just think for a minute about what are some activities that you would like to do? And I want you to come up with four things that you would enjoy doing and that you could put into a plan of action of these are four physical things that I would enjoy doing. And if you're actually sitting somewhere and listening to this and you can write it down, write down four things that get your blood pumping, get you moving. Then we have pleasurable activities. Now, these are just things that you love to do. Now, they can't be the things you love to do that are urges or bad habits. Like, I love smoking, I'm going to put smoking, or I love eating a gallon of ice cream. It can't be those kinds of things because those are the things that are actually causing negative consequences at some point. But think about things like playing a game with your family, putting a puzzle together, watching a movie, playing an instrument, doing crafts, artwork, cooking and baking, singing. And I always put on these lists watching ASMR because I love doing that. And I know some of you love it as well. And it's a great, relaxing, fun. I look forward to it. Like I will, when I have my free time planned, a lot of times ASMR is part of my free time and I cannot wait to get to it. So that makes it a pleasurable activity that I'm ready to go do because I've done the hard stuff and the stuff worked through those urges and cravings. And these urges and cravings can be things like don't do your work. Because since I work from home and I am my own boss, I could just decide I don't want to do anything, but I don't like the consequences of that. So I go ahead and do the work even when I don't feel like doing it. And then I have this free time to do these pleasurable activities. So right now take a minute to think or write down 4 pleasurable activities that you enjoy. Then we have enlivening activities. I know some of these kind of are like, what's the difference? But an enlivening activity is something where you get a deeper connection to life, where you can bring more life, enlivening, into your life, into your day. And they also might be more challenging or more adventurous, or maybe tap more into creativity than the activities that are pleasurable. Like ASMR, I don't have to do anything but put my headphones on and listen and watch it. And sometimes I even fall asleep when I'm doing that. So there's nothing, I'm not thinking, I mean, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to create anything. I don't have to challenge myself in any way. So that's kind of the difference here. So this might be something that is learning a new skill, or maybe you're going to repair something, or you're going to study something that you've always wanted to know about, or you might go on a 20-mile hike. You know, that's more adventurous. If you're already somebody who hikes, don't try 20 miles if you've never done it before. Maybe an overnight camping stay, travel to a city you've never been to before, go to a movie by yourself. That's an interesting one. I should do an episode about doing things by yourself. Volunteer at a homeless shelter, go to a new restaurant and order something you've never eaten before, flower arranging, cake decorating, writing a poem, going to an open mic night. I've had like I have so many more alternatives for this one just because I think it's just kind of exciting to think about. So was thinking about all sorts of things when I was writing this episode. But right now, take a minute to think about 4 enlivening activities that you would like to do, or write them down if you are somewhere where you can do that. And then there's the general category. And of course, this is just things that are different that maybe you wouldn't normally do, but they're more ordinary, like organizing a closet, playing solitaire instead of watching TV, plan a trip you want to take next year, start organizing pictures for an album, start researching for on your family tree. If you're into Pinterest, create a Pinterest board that has some of the things that you are dreaming about. I have so many Pinterest boards that are like, this is how I'd want to remodel this bathroom. And this is like years away from now, but I enjoy thinking about, oh, I think I would like to have these kind of light fixtures. I think I would like to have this kind of a shower. I would have these kind of windows or, whatever. And I have a board for every room in my house because someday I want to remodel all of them at different times. And so I just dream about, oh, what would I like? What colors do I want it to be painted? Or what kind of furniture do I want to have? I mean, just all that stuff. And so that could be something that would be general, like it's pretty passive, but you're still spending time like planning something ahead of time. So take a few minutes to think about 4 general things that you would like to do, or write them down. And now you would have a list of 16 things that you can do when your side screen lights up and it starts telling you to do a bad habit, or telling you to do something that's destructive or addictive. And even if your anxiety is coming up on the screen on the side, you can remember every time, no matter what happens when the side screen, whatever it's trying to tell you, good or bad, or like do this because you'll feel better, or this is all the terrible things. No matter what, you're going to breathe in. You're going to allow all of those uncomfortable feelings. You're going to accept that it's there. Of course, my brain's trying to keep me safe. Of course, my brain wants me to eat ice cream because it tastes good and it tells me it's going to feel better. But I want to stay going forward to all the stuff that's amazing, to all the things that I want and love in my life. So then I'm gently redirecting myself back to the front. And now I have this list of 16 things that I can do instead of engaging over here. And so, just to make this a little bit easier for you, I have made a checklist where on the first page of the checklist, it just has some of these ideas I've talked about for each of the four sections. And then the second page has blanks. So you can put in your very own 16 things that you would do or you could do during that time. Now, just remember that sometimes these things come up while you're at school or while you're at work. And so I want you to think about what could you do if you're studying in class for some of these. Like they don't all have to be that obviously because like physical for instance, dancing around to fun music is not something you can do when you get upset at school. But what are some of the things that we've talked about in the past that you could do to kind of ground yourself and keep you paying attention to the front screen? So that's things like paying attention, like hyper focusing on the teacher. And even if you're not hyper focusing on what they are saying, which is probably the best thing because that'll help you stay up with what's happening in the class, but you could focus on what are they wearing, different colors that you see around the room, different things that you're hearing in the classroom, like feet shuffling or pencils writing or whatever kinds of sounds, or the hum of the heating and cooling system, whatever it is that you could hyper focus on to keep you in the present. If you're at work, think about what are some things you could do at work that keep you doing your work and not distracting in that way, but help you stay really grounded in the present. So if you work as a server, you could make like little rhymes in your head about what their order was, or do some associations in your mind, like what their name is and what does that associate with, or trying to remember certain things about where the tables are, like your area, just different things that you could create about that in your mind. If you worked in a grocery store or someplace like that, like organizing things by color or looking through the dates and having like an order of okay, the earlier dates are in front. I mean, that's probably a job you have to do anyway, but really hyper focusing on it and really keeping in the present about what you're doing. Put some of these things on your calendar ahead of time. So you know, if you decide you want to volunteer somewhere, go ahead and put that stuff on your calendar, like certain days of the month you're going to volunteer somewhere. If you're going to just decide to go for a walk or have a dance time or whatever you want to do, put it on your calendar so that you can make a habit out of just doing that, even if you're not trying to distract from the side screen. Put a language learning app on your phone and just schedule daily practice and lessons to learn this new language. There's just like so many things that you can do. And if you already have some of these healthy distractions that you're just doing, even when the side screen's not lighting up, it probably will stop the side screen from lighting up as much because you're already going to be busy thinking and doing these other things. Go to my show notes for the checklist so that you can see the checklist of things for each category. And then you can write your own. So then you'll have your 16 things already on a page. And then take a picture of that. And so wherever you are, it's going to be on your phone. And I know you will always have your phone. And so wherever you go, if you're needing that healthy distraction, don't forget you're going to just allow it and you're going to accept that it's there and you're going to feel calm about it. And then you can look at what are one of these activities that I'd like to do right now. And then they'll be right there for you because planning ahead is so important. So go to the show notes, get my healthy distractions checklist, and I will see you next week. Talk to you soon.